welcome to the program. This is Mon-24 TV, where we drive your business. And my name is Anthony, and I am your host. It's a Monday. I hope you're fresh as I am and enjoying your week already. Of course, we are here to get you into the stock markets, the bond markets, and the different other segments of the financial markets. The show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange. Now, Altex has different products for offer, and one of them, of course, is the bonds. And right now, these are accessible via the USSD code *292#, and you can be able now to trade on the different treasury bonds across East Africa by simply dialing *292#. They are giving you a chance also to use your mobile money and to trade with as low as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. And definitely this is a deal breaker for many Ugandans who have not been able to access the market. And it's not only in Uganda, but as I've mentioned, in East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, you can be able now to buy these financial instruments with the help of your phone and be able to buy or even sell the same on this particular platform using MTN mobile money, and definitely get your savings moving. You also have to note that the market at Altex opens at 15 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. and closes at 15 minutes past the hour of 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. Altex East Africa doing something new. Now, over the weekend, of course, the markets were closed, but on Friday we did have trading, and I'm here to give you some of the results of the Friday trades and see, of course, what this week could be having ahead of it. Now, on Friday, rather, we had 3 USE listed equities participating in the markets trading there on the Uganda Securities Exchange. The day ended with 4 top gainers and 3 bottom losers on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Centum Investments company came in as the topmost gainer at a 1.22% share price appreciation, closing at 261.29 Ugandan shillings. Of course, Centum has been struggling over the past couple of days, trying to keep their price up, going down by over 50 shillings in about 4 weeks. And so it was a big breaker, a big deal breaker for them, and closing the markets at 261.29. Yes, much as it wasn't that big gain, but something really to give credit to Centum for the week. On the gaining side as well, we had Nation Media Group, who gained by 0.66% for the last day of trading, and East African Breweries Limited, who gained about 0.65%. And then Kenya Airways gained about 0.03% on their price there at the Uganda Stock Exchange. Looking at the losing side, we had Jubilee Holdings losing the 4th day in a row. What a week for Jubilee Holdings. Well, Jubilee lost on the last day of trading about 2.07% of its stock price, closing at 6,094.21 Ugandan shillings per share. We also had Equity Bank close at 0.08% price depreciation as well. They are coming in as a bottom loser. Umeme also lost some value of 0.07% on the market, falling back to 200.00 shillings from 200.15 shillings on Thursday. And looking at also the top movers here, Bank of Baroda Uganda had the biggest stock that was traded on the market at over 253,900 shares that were transacted, and he was followed closely by MTN at 45,000 and Meme, who had just 460 shares that were traded on the market. The benchmark index, the all-share index, inched up 0.5 points, and this was a 0.04% appreciation rather in the value of the all-share index. For starters, the all-share index is an aggregate performance tracker, tracking the aggregate performance of all the listed companies on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, this was representing a one-week gain of 2.07%, meaning at least the markets ended the week quite strongly based on the all-share index. Also, the one-week loss, rather four-week loss, went down to 1.95%, and the overall year-to-date loss also contracted a little to 13.4% currently. And this, of course, could be attributed to the improved performance, at least towards the end of the week, especially on Thursday, when we had over 5 participants in the markets, an improvement in the volume because of stocks like MTN, Umeme, Stanbic, and Bank of Baroda also coming in as a top mover on the last day of trading. Now, looking at the local company index, on the other hand, it declined, especially on Friday, by close to several points, closing at 268.68 points in the Friday trades. And this is still representing a one-week gain of 0.67% and a four-week loss of 1.14% on the local company index, which tracks the aggregate performance of the local companies or the domestically listed equities here on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Now, like I mentioned, amongst the top gainers, we had Centum Investments come at the top. Let's see if Centum really has some value for us here on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, Centum Investments Company is an investment company based in Kenya, and it has been listed on the Uganda Stock Exchange since the 10th of February 2011. So we're talking about an experience of over 11 years on the stock exchange here in Uganda. Currently, the company is the 13th most valuable on the stock exchange, representing about 0.825% of the entire equities market on the exchange, and a total market capitalization of 174 billion Ugandan shillings. When we talk market cap, we are talking the current price multiplied by the current share price multiplied by the current number of shares that are floated on the exchange. And currently, Centum Investments has a value of about 174 billion Ugandan shillings on the exchange. Now, their share price on Friday went up by 3.16 points, and that was to close at 261.29 Ugandan shillings per share, a 1.22% daily gain that was registered, and which was the biggest gain for the day. When you look at the stock for Centum, basically you're looking at, for example, in the early days of the year, in January, the stock was well above 400 shillings. We are talking, to be specific, on the 1st of January, a price of about 444.0 Ugandan shillings per share. 444.82 Ugandan shillings per share. Today, we are talking prices that are as low as 261.29. Now, let's put that in perspective. Within over just 11 months, the company has lost a value of close to 41%, almost half of its share price value. Now, that's a very significant fall for Centum on the Uganda Stock Exchange. And when you compare with other companies, it is currently ranked 13th out of the 18 listings in terms of year-to-date performance. There are others doing worse. That shows how bad really the situation can really get on the stock market. A company like Centum shedding off over close to 40%, 41% to be specific, and continuing also to register inactivity on the stock exchange. Currently, this is evidenced by the low performance also in terms of trading volumes. Their last volume was on the 11th of August, and they had about 7,800 shares that were traded and closed the day with a share price of 308.81 shillings. So we're still seeing that the value has fallen out of the sky, and there hasn't been any trading on the company. So it's a quite paradoxical situation here for Centum. Though when you look back at the Nairobi Stock Exchange, it's a different narrative for Centum Investments. It's doing quite well. It's among the most valuable companies, as we shall see later on, and it's also one of the most active on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. But things haven't worked out so well for the company here on the local company, rather on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, I think we should be having a conversation, especially with the Capital Markets Authority, about cross listings. What went wrong? Where do we put cross listings in our priorities? Why aren't they still making more money? And this was the aim, really. We want to have companies cross-listed so we can have cross-border trading, so we can have people in Uganda be able to be part owners of companies in Kenya. That definitely influences the way our funds move. Because, for example, when Centum declares a dividend, it's not only the Kenyans that are investing in it or people from other countries, but people who have invested in Centum here in Uganda still benefit from that dividend. So there's a lot really to tell, and also cross listings give you an opportunity to kind of override the exchange rate factor, because one of the key different or rather issues that really come up when it comes to buying shares, for example, abroad, is the exchange rate. And usually in tough economic times, currencies are affected and certain currencies grow weaker, and we've seen the Kenyan shillings grow very weak against the dollar, as well as the Ugandan shillings in the same direction. But when you have to buy shares across the board, you have to transact according to the currency or the rates on the exchange in which you're trying to buy shares. And so to kind of rule out some of those problems, that's why we have cross listings. People can be able to enjoy the benefits of being shareholders in a cross-listed company from a different exchange by listing or by buying shares on this listing on their own exchange. And this cuts out all those other factors like exchange rate, middlemen, travel, and so many other things. But why isn't it seemingly going so well with the Uganda Stock Exchange cross listings? Evident here by Centum, losing over 45% of value in just 1 year. That is quite a significant loss there in terms of value. So there must be a debate on the cross listings. How can we make them more attractive? How can we make them more active on the exchange? How can investors actually benefit from buying shares on cross listings rather than buying shares on the same company on their primary stock exchanges? That should be one of the conversations we should be holding. But back to Centum Investments Company. Besides the company losing over 41% of its value since the year began, looking at their performance in the last 1 month, we are looking at from the 21st of October to the current date. The company has still lost 9% of its stock value, which actually is aggravating or compounding the worries of the shareholders in the company. However, it's doing better than most other listings, cross listings rather. For example, when you compare it with Equity Bank Limited, in terms of activity, it's beating all those companies. when you compare it with even some of the domestic companies, it's doing much better in terms of activity. And to be really direct, you're comparing it with companies like DFCU Bank. We haven't seen activity at DFCU Bank in a long while. And when we've seen that activity, it has come on the negative side of things for DFCU stock, especially the price falling very quickly when people are trading. Seemingly people are trading to just run away from the stock and probably buy other stocks. So there's still better activity registered by Centum, and we have to credit Centum really on this one for at least maintaining the activity compared with other cross listings, compared with even some of the domestically listed stocks. For example, they had trade on the 11th. August was a really good month for them. Seemingly, they had trade on the 11th of August at 7,800 shares. They also had trade on the 8th of August at 1,200 shares. They had trade on the 19th of July at 100,000 shares, and on the 20th of June. Now, you won't see this in companies like East African Breweries Limited, sorry to say, but it is a fact that cross listings are not as active, are not as productive on the stock exchange. Regarding at least the experience we've had on the Uganda Securities Exchange. So there must be a debate, at least from the Capital Markets Authority and to other authorities in especially the Uganda Securities Exchange. Maybe we need to do a little bit of more sensitization about the benefits of investing in cross listings or something like that. Otherwise, we are losing a lot of value on the exchange. Now, away from Centum Investments Company, Nation Media Group also appreciated, but the same narrative is experienced on the company with zero performance in terms of trading and no volumes traded recently, actually with nothing traded in the last couple of months on the company. So it's still a huge challenge we are still supposed to address on the cross listings and their participation in the capital markets of the country. Looking at Kenya Airways, also gaining about 0.03% on the exchange, had a similar story to tell. But on the losing side, Jubilee Holdings particularly captured my eye, and of course it's getting really to the concern of shareholders, how the stock is falling through the roof, and how the stock price is actually reducing for this company. Now, Jubilee has been listed since 2006, one of the oldest listings as well on the Uganda Stock Exchange. The company has a total value of 365 billion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization, representing about 1.73% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equities market. Now, this is the 9th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And currently, like we are saying, it has lost value very significantly. Very quickly, the company is losing value. For example, when you look at the way the company began in 2022, January, we had share prices above, well, a little below, but very close to 10,000 shillings. We're talking 10K worth a single share. This price fell quickly from 10,000 to around 8,000 in the month of March within the year 2022. And at 8,000, it kind of tried to keep up with the 8,000 mark and was up to 8,500, 8,700. But then later on in the month of September, the company lost from 8,000 to 7,000. And currently, in the month of November, we are looking at a price of 6,094. We could go below 6,000 next week if things continue to be the way they are at Jubilee Holdings Limited. Still, when you look at their participation in the market, it's quite marginal, actually with nothing traded in the last 3 months on the company. There's a question still, to be put to the exchange on the cross listings. Why don't we have activity? Why aren't people interested in buying stocks on cross-listed companies here in Uganda? Currently, they have a very good market value, over 59.9 million shares, about 365 billion market capitalization, and they do compete well with other insurance companies in terms of service delivery. They do have a subsidiary here in Uganda, Jubilee Insurance, and it's doing quite well. But where is the problem at when it comes to trading on this particular stock at the Uganda Stock Exchange? Still a question unanswered, but we hope definitely this will also meet the eye of the Capital Markets Authority to get to see that they sensitize people on the benefits of buying stock on cross listings. Wumeme was another loser on the market, but as I said yesterday, we had Wumeme gain from 200 to 200.15. Well, it went back to 200 shillings on the last day of trading after transacting just 460 shares at just 92,000 Ugandan shillings. The shares outstanding currently are 1.62 billion shares, and the market capitalization of 325 billion is still maintained on the company, which represents 1.54% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market here in Uganda. Wumeme is one of those companies that we have mentioned before here as giving you a steady price and very consistent with its dividend issuance policy. And so it's one of the companies you can look up to if you are looking at consistency in price, if you're risk averse and you're afraid of taking risks. Wumeme is one of those big companies you can really rely on, at least currently from the statistics we have. The company has gained some value over the last couple of months and lost some over in the longer run. Looking at the year to date, they still have a 5.82% gain on their back, which is the second best on the exchange in terms of year to date performance. As of course, they began the year with a price of 189.00 Ugandan shillings on the Uganda Stock Exchange. In terms of trading, they are also doing quite well, being the second most traded on the stock exchange here in Uganda for the past 3 months, dating way back in August, and with a total volume of over 21.3 million shares over the period. They do have the biggest turnover, however, also in the last 3 months, at over 4.25 billion Ugandan shillings worth of shares that have been transacted on the exchange on Wumeme within the same period that we are talking about here at the Uganda Stock Exchange. Well, we do have other participants. We had Bank of Baroda and MTN Uganda, and we are also going to just get to peep a little bit into their stock after the break. Stay with us. This is Financial Markets, and you're watching Smart 24 TV. We drive your business.